Yeah. Priyaranjan, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So let's welcome today's guest speaker, Rahul Pagare. So Rahul is a young analyst of Ambedkarite movement based in Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, which was known as Aurangabad earlier. He actively writes and delivers lectures through various platforms on the life, philosophy, and social theories of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Rahul consistently endeavors to present and inspire through the thoughts and perspectives of Dr. Ambedkar, which influence caste, class, social, cultural, and political life. Recently, Rahul translated and published the English book Mahad by Pooja Thakaram into Marathi. So, Jai Bhim, Rahul, and yeah, the floor is all yours.
Jai Hind. Yes, Jai Hind, Jai Hind. Jai Hind to all. Thank you all that you arranged this nice sessions and invited me here and were part of this. My voice is clear if you're getting, just confirming.
Yes, it is. We can hear you, but not so clearly. That's okay.
Okay, okay. Is there any problem? Just please message me. Okay. Can I start now?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Jai Hind all. Uh, Thanks for inviting me here and making me part of these events, these sessions. From November, we are trying to join and to get connect, but due to some personal work, it couldn't possible. But now, anyhow, it is possible, and I'm happy that I'm here today with you. So today's topic is about Buddhism. Buddhism means a social political theory and a means to create a new man. When we are talking about as a Buddhism as a social political theory,
राहुल जी, सॉरी
we
टू
will
इंटरप्ट, लेकिन
call it as
आपका
a Dhamma.
वॉइस क्लियर नहीं आ रहा है थोड़ा सा।
एक second, I just
हाँ,
want to
वॉइस क्लियर नहीं आ रहा
change my
तो। हाँ।
headphone.
या मुझे लगता है बिना हेडफोन के ज्यादा क्लियर आएगा।
Hello, hello,
अभी थोड़ा क्लियर है।
hello. Is it clear now?
हाँ, अभी क्लियर है।
Okay. Okay. So the topic when we're talking about the socio-political theory of Buddhism, we will call it as a Dhammakranti henceforth, because Raja Dale has very nicely described these terms and he debated in his interview and his articles how the Dhammakranti means the socio-political theory of Buddhism is important, and he wanted to see this Dhammakranti as a these kinds of political revolutions, and he was the only person among the Dalit Panther group. He wanted to use these terms and even he wanted to act and he uh, do his activities around these Dhammakrantis. He was only dedicated person for this. So when we are talking about the Dhammakranti, so why Dhammakranti is important? As early it was clear by Baba Sahib in his interviews, in his writing, that for any political revolution, there must a foundations of a religious or ideology. He even given the example of the Muslim rulers and the Christians rulers, how the Muslims or the Christians rulers carried their operations, and it was possible for them just because of the Christians or Muslim religion spread. Similarly, it also happens in India. It was the thoughts of the Buddha that spread all that spreads, and because of the Buddha's thoughts, as a Dhamma we can call it, it was possible for the Emperor Ashoka to bring that political revolutions. So why Dhammakranti is a political revolution? Because as Baba Sahib has made clear himself in his interview of 1953 earlier, in a interview, that the idea of the fraternity, liberty, and equality, he took it from the Buddhist philosophy, not from the French Revolutions. Of course, French Revolution is inspiring, but his philosophy was very rooted out with the Buddhist philosophy. That's why he said that I took these three things terms from the Buddhist philosophy, and he wanted to make it clear that our revelation is the based on the Buddhist religions. Actually, Hinduism, Brahmanism, or the Buddhism, it is not just a religion, but it is two different social values, in fact. And he thought that to bring it any political revolutions or to bring a personality cultivations among the peoples, we need a different kinds of set of social values. Unless we don't change the social values, we cannot change the persons. Basically, it is a, as we heard it from many sources, that creatures is made up of the Agni, Jal, Vayu, Tap. But apart from this, there is one more important things for humans, and that is memory. This memory is very important in the sense that this, because of this memory, we have a history, we have civilization, we have the relationships and ideology in religions or other institutions. This memory is very important. Means this memory make the person you means whom you follow or which persons are around you and what kind of collective experience they give you, and that collective experience become my memory. And because of that memory, it reflects my intelligence or the thought process or whatever the surroundings or the people or things around me. That memory give me a different kinds of versions of the truths. That's why this memory is very important. When you're talking about why this memory is important, means if you see, for example, in 1920s, just imagine a person, untouchable person, in 1920s, he was untouchable, he was a broken man. And to that untouchables, to that broken man, he don't had any history. And he don't had any historical links or any religious or political foundations for himself. That was, he was broken. When Baba Sahib came into the political arena, he just started his activities. He consciously given meaning to our life of the untouchables. If you see, you can see that in 1927, before he start his political activities with Mahad Satyagraha, in that same year, he visited the Bhima Koregaon on 1st January 1927. He visited there and he just started working from there. It was his first political act of 1927. Why he visited there and why he want to make a history a very important, a very significant to us, because he want to create a memory to a broken man. Because if the memory is absent to us, then we are nothing. If we have memory, then we can do something. For example, it's like the mathematical tables, number tables. If we recall or memorize the numbers or the tables, then we can solve the any questions of the mathematics. But if we don't recall or can't memorize the any numbers or the tables, then we can't solve the any questions of mathematics or equations, anything. Same happens into the sociologies also. If you have the memory, means good memory, positive memory, then you can be a good man or you can be a newly created man. If you don't have any history, don't have any memory, you will be a broken man. So Baba Sahib understood this part, why this memory means the history is important. Actually, history is nothing but just collections of memory. So Baba Sahib visited that Bhima Koregaon and his first speech of Mahara, he tried to make understand the people, how these people are to belong to warrior class. Because these people were known as untouchables, the broken man, and they were not supposed to challenge this very system, discriminatory systems. And whatever they happen, just supposed to bear it, tolerate it. But Baba Sahib made them to uh, believe that we have the histories. And he given some fine examples of how we belong to as a warrior classes. And next in his book, like the untouchables or the who was the Shudra, and he just tried to give us a memory or try to connect us with the part of the history. Okay. So for a broken man, it was very important we have some positive history. Otherwise, we cannot challenge the various systems. And these histories, if we see that how he was wanted to connect with the Buddhism. Somehow he tried with Mukti Konpate in his book that how we need to change this very system, means a belief system. If your belief system is changed, then you get new personality. If you carry the same belief system, then there will be not suppose that you will have any new personality, or you cannot challenge this as a system. He wanted to change our belief system, and it was very important. And that's why Baba Sahib made the history a very significant to us. And he also asked us to that, no, he given in his quote that history repeats itself, and we should not forget our history because it is very important to believe. The political significance, what is the political significance of the Dhammakranti is that Raja Lahari sir has believed that we have achieved a political revolution somehow, but actually it is not fulfilled or completed. But through the constitutions, we don't need now to have some political activities, but we need to maintain it and to keep it in a same order. But for that matter, we need to awake and we have to do some other things which is supplementary to the constitutions. When constitution is accepted by the assembly and when it was implemented on the same day of 26 January, what was the need that we need to convert into the Buddhism? Why it was important for us to have the Dhammakranti in 1956? Because if we see that in constitution, the same social values are introduced, which is already there in the Buddhism. But still, Baba Sahib found that it is very important, it is very necessary to have a dharmantar, to have a convergence, and to have a Dhammakranti also. If you see what happens when the constitution was accepted, okay, but just after the 2 years, there was an amendment. That was not a minor amendment, it was a very major amendment. It was related to the freedom of the speech. It was just happened after the 2 years of the implementing the constitutions. And it was a very major shock for Baba Sahib also, because he was not expected that very soon this will happen, amending the constitution. And till 1956-57, there were 7 amendments, I think, took place. It was the kind of challenge to the constitutions. It was the actual risk that we have, because with very great efforts, Baba Sahib could manage to have these constitutions. And just after the 2 years, people who are in the major, who are in the powers, they started to challenging the constitutions with some different changes and amendment of it. It is clear that before the constitutions, who had Baba Sahib had decided to have to convert into the Buddhism. Okay, we know that it was in 1935. Baba Sahib had just made it clear to the public openly that though I am born as a Hindu, but I won't be die as Hindu. But and many people have concluded that it was in 1935. Baba Sahib started studying all sorts of the religions, and in 1956 he converted into Buddhism. He took the 20 or 21 years to study all religion. Then he converted into Buddhism. But actually, in fact, if you see that when Baba Sahib had constructed his house and he named it as a Rajgruha, it was constructed in 1930s. Means when he declared that I won't die as a Hindu, so 5 years before that, he had named that his house as a Rajgruha. Rajgruha has a history of Buddhism, because it is a place where Buddha lives most of his time of his life. And even in the new books, Pragmatism in India, the author has found some new information and facts about the Baba Sahib, in which that books he narrated in 1914 or 15, when the John Dewey were taking his classes of pragmatism. Baba Sahib had joined his classes, and he narrated that the Baba Sahib at that time also, he was trying to improve the Buddhism, and trying to make the Buddhism as a pragmatic. He was taking his efforts for Buddhism to make it as a pragmatic kind of religions or ideology in 1914-15. It was quite before his declaring that I won't die as a Hindu. So from the very beginning, he was very serious about the Buddhism, and he was very influenced about it. And he believed that only these religions can change the very personality of untouchables. The religion has very clear or the founded you know, importance in the sense that the every religions somehow attributes the what we can say the rationality or intelligence of the persons. If religions believe or make person believe to supernatural powers and something metaphysical, so person though he is scientist, we still believe on that concept of the religions. He can't challenge that religions even because the religions make a very emotional attachments with the person, with his personality. So you can means you might have came across such kind of the scientists even though they are the nuclear scientists, but still they believe on their own religions, whether it is a Muslims or the Christians. So studying the science won't make you, no, non-believer of the religions or the God. Religion, apart from the intelligences and other things, it also attach with us as a part of our emotions. So what we are discussing actually, what was the need of the religions means to convert into the Buddhism after acceptance or the implementations of the constitutions, because Baba have thought that when the constitutions in danger, then we need a supplementary thought, we need a supplementary ideology. And he thought that only Buddhism can fulfill that part, that role as a supplementary. Because constitutions and Buddhism are not contradicting to each other. Both are buildings on the ethics and the morality and the same social values and the gender values. And they don't do both means constitution and Buddhisms and opposed to the gender or caste discriminations, class discriminations, and they can go side by side and together. So Baba Sahib wanted to make it a supplementary to the constitutions. Means, for example, if there is a Christian peoples or the Muslim peoples, for them their religious fight is like a jihad, or for Christian it will be the crusade. And Baba Sahib made it clear in his interview of 1953 that the fraternity, equality, liberty, these things are the core of the Buddhism. He took it from the Buddhist philosophy. And he thought that if the constitution is in danger, then Buddhism can fulfill this um, very role to save the democracy of the India. Because just see that when the Muslim feel that he is in danger, he is in a threat, he fight for his crusade, jihad, and Christian as fight as their crusade. So he thought that when the democracy is in danger, then the Buddhist people should fight for to save the democracy. And this fight of the discrimination should be continued apart from the constitutions. In his last speech of the constitutions assembly, Baba Sahib had made very clear that politically we are freed now. Political goal we have achieved with this constitution and acceptance of this constitution. Political democracy is we made possible, but social democracy is still a challenge, and we need to work out uh, on that part of social democracy. How this social democracy will get, how we will achieve this goal of the social democracy, and he thought that Buddhism can fulfill this his promise and the role to achieve this social democracy. If you see the little changes, what took place among the untouchables who converted into Buddhism, their social ratio of the education is higher than other backward peoples. Means the higher degrees, means PG holders are the more among the Buddhist in compared to the OBC peoples or the other minorities or some Maratha peoples in Maharashtra. Sex ratio is also equal. It is not threatening like the Banya caste. If you see in India, there is a very danger positions of among the Banya peoples because the girls female ratio is very low, and they have started campaigning now to save the girls. So such kinds of gender inequality or photos suicide means no, photos killing is not happening here. We accepted the girls, we educating them and making them a good civil persons. So this is a very important part of the Buddhism. With this, the new social values, new social ideas, new notions, we are building a new personality among these untouchable peoples. And that's why we are in good numbers in education also, in sex ratio also, and on other social, um, what are the social changes took place. If we see that in UP, if you compare UP and the Maharashtra, in Maharashtra, the Buddhist peoples not fair into the powers. They were always, from the last 75 years, they are out of the powers, but still they have got some social developments. But in UP, though there were the BSP into the powers in 3 to 4 times, though 3 times they were for very short time they were in the powers, but 2007 they um, enjoyed the full power with majority, that is 45 years. But though there is a political success they had in UP, but still the social developments on the parameters of the social developments, Maharashtrian Buddhists have achieved much better grade of the developments, we can say. So why these changes has happened? It is just because of the conversion. And this conversion is not just conversions like other religion, but it converted your social values. It cultivated your personality. It brought up the new changes and a new, it give you the new idols to follow. Politically, when we think, as we know that the Krantivar Jyotirao Phule, in his time, when he just get awakened, and he thought that for the Bahujan peoples, who, if we want to inspire them, we need a political figure. And he thought that the Shivaji is the best persons to introduce the Bahujan peoples. At his time, the Bahujan peoples had forget the history of the Shivaji. They were unaware about where he cremated, buried. They don't know. I know every part of his Shivaji was absent from the narrative and at the times of current discourse. Then Phule thought that the Shivaji is the best person. We can use him as an idol for the Bahujan people to inspire and to organize against these discriminations or the Brahmins. So politically, this figure is very important, the historical figures. Why history is important? This is the example for that. Another example of is the Gandhi. As we know that the Gandhi is the first person who introduced the Ram into the politics. Many people understand that it is the BJP or the RSS who brought the Ram into the politics. But no, the very core founder of the Ram Rajya is the Gandhi. He introduced the Ram into the politics because he believed on that Varnashram social values, Vedic social values. But it was the Baba Sahib when he thought to how to motivate our peoples, untouchables, to broken mans. He thought that Buddha or the Empire Ashoka, Samrat Ashoka, is important figure. They can play a greater role as their idol. And into the politics, Baba Sahib brought Ashoka. And we see that our national symbols are the same, which is used by the Empire Ashoka. So politically, if you want to inspire our community, to the broken peoples, to the untouchables, or to the any other peoples, if we want to inspire the peoples, if we want to organize them, we need a political figure or political figure of the history. That's why for the people like us who are the oppressed, Baba Sahib give us Buddhism, and not just Buddhism. He just tried to give us some social or political values to us. He discusses, he narrated his, and he set up the whole discourse of socio-political theory for us. Then after the Baba Sahib also did a very important things, which is actually negated in narrative or then the discourse of the Ambedkar circle. So early in the 1930s, I think the Baba Sahib had said that we should have to shift from this village to the cities. We should have to become the part of the urban. शहराकडे चला असं त्यांनी सांगितलं होतं. वी नीड टू गो टू द सिटीज. व्हाय सिटीज? बिकॉज इन टू द विलेज वी वर द people who are the resourceless, who don't have any lands, not just lands, but who don't have any economic opportunities, not just economic opportunities, but we don't have dignity even also. And then Baba said that actually in a village, you don't have a dignity, you don't have economic opportunities, you don't have a land, you don't have to lose anything in villages. So better it is that you should have to shift to the urban, into the cities, and should become the part of these urbanizations. So what was the fundamental idea about this also? That he wanted all the untouchables who were spread in a district at some remote places, and these untouchables were living in the side of the villages, and they were what you can say boycotted peoples, and they were minorities in their villages. So Baba Sahib thought that these minority people should come together and should be part of a separate colonies into the cities. So they can come over the very problems of the minority, so they can make their majority ward, their majority populous area. So if this could made possible, means these people if get together, make their separate colonies, so the we can prevent the atrocities kinds of the cases. And this together people, these peoples who came together and make their own wars, it will be easy for them to follow the same common social values, same common traditions, that is Buddhism. In urban, it was also possible to work into the factories and to explore the economic opportunities, to educate their children also, and to be to being a power as a union powers, to fight for their own cause. It was all possible just by shifting into the cities. That's why he given call to the people to shift into the cities. There is also two things. One is a politicals to make another options for the political reservation seats, because it was the one of the alternative. He might have thought that in the futures it is that the political reservations may be ended up. So what we will do? So to take control, so to have our alternative for this, he thought that the people should come together and to make their whole majority populated area. So we can elect our persons or representative from theirs. It was the political idea, but religious idea was that to make this whole crowd to follow the common tradition, common social values, and to imitate each other, so the bonding will be strong enough among the peoples. So it was his basic ideas with his idea of convergence. So what we are discussed that the Buddhism was importance equal to the constitution, because it was supplementary to the constitution. It was not contradictory to constitutions. In case it is a threat for the constitutions, the Baba Sahib thought that the Buddhists will be awake, they will fight for the democracy, because fraternity, equality, liberty, these ideas are the core of the Buddhism. And if one who converted into Buddhist, who follows honestly it, so definitely he will strive for the democracy to preserve it. So it was the basic idea for the conversion, he thought. Then to make a political war of the Buddhist, as like the Muslims are the not Muslim, they are not just group or the community as a Muslim, but they are also a political vote bank. Hindu also a political vote bank, Christian also a political vote bank. So that, and Sikh even also political vote bank. So Baba Sahib thought that if anti-Buddhists don't have any religions, so how they will become the vote banks? So to take controls or to make their active roles into the politics and to give them some powers, social power, Baba Sahib given us the Buddhism. So Buddhism is also a social values. At the same, it is also a political powers also to so we can exercise it in the sense of vote and negotiating with the power which is established, and to gain safe rights and or to try to keep to save their rights and constitutional rights and all. And third thing which we discuss is the memory is important, history is important. History is nothing but the just a collections of our memory. If we have the positive history with us and the definitely the personality become also the positive. If your religion believe on the scientific temperament, it also we also strive for it to develop that kind of a scientific temperament us. So to make a new man, to create a new man, so Buddhism is very important. Baba Sahib had highlighted these things, and that's why Dhammakranti is importance equal to the political revolutions. If Dhammakranti is successful, then definitely we will be able to restore our political rights. And if our political rights is in danger, definitely the people who are um, converted to Buddhist or who are the influenced by the Dhammakranti, they will strive, they will fight back for their rights. I think I just wanted to conclude these three things which I concluded. If you have any questions, so I would like to discuss it with you. So to make it more clear about the discussed topic.
Ranjan, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. So, attendees, please raise your hand if you have any questions. Else, we can continue. Yeah, I think we can continue.
Okay. Actually, I thought that I will just discuss the topic for the half an hour, and if you have any questions, so we can carry it for the next half an hour. So that's why I was prepared for it. If you have any random questions about the Buddhism or his political idea, you can ask me.
Yeah, Rahul, this is Vivek, Jai Bhim. And I have a question. So there's always a confusion about the religion in politics, right? And you are hitting this very same point when Baba Sahib has written this constitution. Did really Baba Sahib wanted like the religion in politics? Because, when you see the Indian politics currently, which is hijacked by one particular group of religion, okay? So the
Yes, sir.
notion that Baba Sahib has chosen Buddhism, was it a political means or it was a social mean to uplift the people who were neglected under the same premises where the religion has caused oppression upon our communities? So the notion that you are stating is that religion is also the political vote bank, which is true in a reality. But was it the means of the Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's? Was it thinking in that direction?
Actually, there is a two side of it. I know Baba Sahib given importance to the both sides, means to bring the new social values and to bring up the political relations on the basis of the religions. That is the Buddhism, because he made it clear in one quote. If we see his quote that the Indian history is nothing but a mortal conflict between Brahmanism and Buddhism. And what is this history between the Brahmanism and Buddhism? It is the history of the discrimination theory of Varnashram and Buddhism, given it alternative. Buddha has just condemned it and just put it aside and given us the new theory of the social values of equalities. So there is actually two means it is true that he wanted to uplift the peoples with this means of the Buddhism, because as I said that we were the untouchables of the 1920s was unbroken. He don't had any history, he don't had any social capital, he don't have any narratives. He was just upset. It is something means you can imagine that a person is there of 30 years of old, and he had caste, he has a religion, he belonged to some particular family, etc. But what happened? In an accident, he lost his memory. When he lost his memory, what he will become? He will not answer anything. If somebody abuses his caste or his religions or any other ideology or his families, he will not feel it touch. He will not feel hurt by these accusations or the attack. He will just be like an absent person because memory is absent for him. So when the religions play into the roles, religions means it's giving him a reasons or the cause and attachment with some social values also. So it is true that for the social upliftment, it is also important, and to make a political or to gain a political what values or the powers also, he tried to use it also. This both things very important for him. That's why he tried to use Samrat Ashoka and his symbol as our national symbol even.
Okay. And the other point I wanted to bring in, I'm not too keen in understanding because you are putting the good effort in trying to help us out to understand, which is good effort. The other thing is, like when you are saying the history, I understand is real events which are documented on the paper, right? The memory
Yes.
is a collection of things which has totally a medical part of it. Okay, memory, like something cannot become a history. I'm just trying to say. I understand there is a mythology. It are the written stories. They are not a history. Like if one says Ramayana is a history or Mahabharata is history, I think people will dispute to that, right? If you say the theory of Ashoka or the Buddhist, Buddhist relics or all these things. These are the evident. These are seen. There is a presence of those aspects. So those are the historical events. Like there was a war happened. Like when you were the history is written in the real time, documented for the future purpose. If you're looking in that say that is a memory thing, I think I'm just having a little difficulty to understand that memory and the history together. You're trying to connect these dots. I'm just can you help me out with that aspect? What you mean by when you're saying the historical components and the memory component.
Yes, historical components means I mean to say that the history maybe is documented. It may be that it is well researched. Okay, it may be with some evidence and the proofs also, but still it is happens somewhere in the past. And memory is nothing but memory is also something which is happens into the past. Though memory is not a collector like a no, based on the clinical research or it is not a documented, but history or the memory both are the things which has happens into the past, and we need to connect with it. Means if I connect my memory with, or if I connect with the history, it is a kind of same things. I know actually whatever you are saying that it is a history is a well documented process, but still it is happens into the past. Memories also happen into the past. In that sense, I am saying that the history and the memory is same things. Otherwise, I mean, I agree with your points.
Okay. Yeah. But thanks for
Actually,
your. Okay,
somewhere
go ahead.
what's happening in the past also, the people who are not converted, if we see what changes happens, the people who are converted into the Buddhism, they are feeling that their history is too long with the Buddha. They imagine the Buddha. Means suppose the untouchables of the 1920s who don't had any history, he never read it, he never thought that Buddhism is somehow related with his past or his previous generations. He never thought that because it was a complete gap of his understanding and his memory. So he was speechless. He couldn't deliver anything. So he couldn't proud about anything which is happens in the past. But when the people who are the after 1956, people who born, they just started connecting themselves with the Ashoka. They started connecting with the Buddhas, though they didn't have read much of the history, but they know that these things are somehow related with them, and they try to memorize it. And when we memorize it, our as a history, our confidence, our attributes, our intelligence are reflected in very different sense. Now, if you ask any persons who are converted to Buddhist in 1956, now the next generation of today's generation, if we ask them to what religion he belongs to, he just say that I'm a Buddhist. Or any in any random instances, if it is happened that somehow somebody criticized the Buddhism or Samrat Ashok or the writes something wrong about it, that person will get connected with the past, the memory, and then he will just start reacting that or start depending on the Buddhism, that how it is wrong, how it is right. Why it is so possible? Because due to our conversion into the Buddhism, we are attached with the Buddhism, with the memory of the Buddhism, with the history of the Buddhism. So in that sense, history and the memory are important to us to fill our understanding into the past.
But I still, it's fine. It's a good effort on your behalf. Trying to help understand. Still, I think the history are the true events. Okay, written, in the past by some act. Like, if you're looking the current events, you are making a history just by coming here. We are documenting your evidence. Okay, that you are online right now. We are being recorded. If someone looks, 10, 15 years or maybe 50 years later, if this video still exists and that you have spoken about it, it will become a history that time. Okay, that correction of true events happen in the past that, bring, either being researched or by taught in classes or somewhere, and it's like if you are thinking that's a recollection of a memory, I think that would be, injustice to the document, the topic that you are serving, you know. I just want, I think these are totally two different components, whether I may be able not to understand completely to the extent which you are trying to explain to us. But I still like to thank you for putting a good effort trying to help us understand. And I think maybe the other listeners may have a little different take than I do. But again, I wish you well.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, Rahul sir. My name is Rajkumar Tambe. I have I just wanted to understand by saying it's his memory. Does I mean, did Ambedkar wanted us to realize that we were the Buddhist back then, and then we were tagged under as Shudras later on by Brahmins?
Pardon, sir? Shudras?
Yeah,
I didn't heard that.
well, my question is so I were reading somewhere that somehow in the past, as a you also referred that 1920 or 27, Ambedkar visited that Smarak where
Koregaon place, yes.
Yeah, so where
Koregaon place.
right. So Mahars defeated Bajirao or
Peshwa.
Peshwas.
Bajirao,
Sorry.
yes, yes.
So is that what you are trying to say, that originally Mahars were Buddhist back then during our in past, before we were then tagged after when Brahmins were trying to introduce caste into the system, and we were tagged under Kshudras later on. So, are you in any sense trying to say that we were originally Buddhist or followers
Yes, yes.
of Buddha?
Yes. Actually, there were many historical references about that. How the untouchables were the Buddhist actually.
Exactly. Well, because I was reading some kind of content, and there it's not clearly mentioned, but the reference is like that only. That originally Kshudras may have been. I mean,
Yes.
there were some movies made recently by
Yes.
South Indian. We saw it, and there also there is some reference to Buddha. So
Even
that's
Jyotirao Phule also made it that Maha-Ari means, he said that Ari means a Shatru, enemy. Maha means
right.
the great. It's a great
Right.
enemy.
Yes,
Maha is a great
recent.
enemy of the Brahminism, and as Baba Sahib said that the Indian history is nothing but a mortal conflict between Buddhism and Brahminism. So this, if we understand these two nations, so we can understand that untouchables are nothing but a previous
Okay.
Buddhist.
Thanks for
Yes.
confirmation, because I read recently this Ghulamgiri where I mean, I did not understand exact all the content that Jyotirao Phule had mentioned, because the language
Yes.
that time it was very, I mean, few words were difficult to understand, but
Yes, yes,
I understand the context and crux of it, how he wanted to communicate things, how these things were evolved in the past and become later, day to day living for the people, and we uh, forgot what we were earlier. So that's where I realized, maybe, and you confirmed that. Thank you for that.
yes, yes.
Rahul, I put the question in the chat
Yeah.
box. This discrimination is coming since generation to generation. And
Yes.
based on your research and the study and writings, is there an end to it?
Yes, there is, of course, there is a end for these problems also. There is no such a problem that which we cannot solve it. And as Baba have said that actually, when we trace the history of the untouchables, it is not that it is carrying from the thousands of years. He just said that it is just 400 or 500 back that untouchability was started. And if we want to change these discriminations, so Baba Sahib just introduced us that it is not necessary for a Brahmin to become a D caste, because if the Brahmin becomes a D caste, it won't affect anything into his ability of the power. If we want to make the effective changes, we need to make a Brahmin a depower, not only decast, but we need to depower him. And for that depower matter, Baba Sahib had strongly argued for the reservations. Because when you are in the administrations or you are making the policies, when you are into the powers, so this reservation is nothing but to depower and limiting the unlimited powers of the Brahmins. And when you are into powers into the administrations, you are making the policy, then definitely you can end this discrimination. Actually, what's happening if we see the secretariat office, which is filled with the Brahmins more than 70 to 80%, or judiciary or the media. But if it is possible somehow that we achieve that target, if we are in the media or the secretariat office or the police departments or the in admin and into the judiciary system, so how will be the result of this nation? Means how we will make the policy, how we will make effective a judiciary system. If we have that much of powers into the judiciary, secretariat office, and effective powers into the politics. Effective, I means that I know that there is a 25% of reserved seats, 112 seats are reserved into the Lok Sabha, but still they are not effective because they are these people are using the political reservations, and political reservations or that seats are tempered actually. It is not effective. It is not expected even as per the Baba Sahib. He had some different thoughts, but this kinds of this political reservation is ineffective, and that's why I don't say that it is a effective power. So if we are there with our reservation into the judiciary system, into the secretariat office, so definitely by depowering the Brahmins, we can, being into the powers, we can end these discriminations. Actually, now what's happening, if we see some cases of atrocities, if atrocities cases happens, which is highly politically politicized and which is get controversial into the media, at that time the governments or what do the governments? Government just try to keep to save that people who did the atrocities on our peoples. Why they want to save them? Because because they do not want to encourage the casteist people. If they punish them, if police took the right efforts uh, take into that time that persons who are the castes, so everything will be fine. So no, actually, government has to discourage the casteist people, but instead of discouraging them, they are actually, by saving them from the police action, they are encouraging other people to do the same things. And that's why after the 75 years of independence, still there are cases happening. In all major cases, if we look into the media, all major cases of the atrocities, you see there is no single punishment for the casteist people.
Thank you. Thank you.
If we want to control this, you need to be the powers. So it is better to depower the Brahmins. We have to march our, we have to come together for this, and we have to organize and fight for that powers. power, not just in the sense of the political power, but in all other administration, secretariat office, or judiciary systems. We need that power. Then it is possible to take over the discriminations.
Thank you, Rahul.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Rahul sir, you also wrote the book called The Mahad. And
I just translated it, sir. Yes, actually, it was written by Bhoja Tharkam, sir.
okay, I would like to share that title to everyone so that everyone will know what is that one I'm talking about. So this is the book you translated, you said?
Yes, I translated it.
Okay. And briefly, if you talk about this book, is written the history about the Manusmriti Dahan or the...
Actually, this book is unique in the sense that it is a very different kinds of interpretation of the history. As we know that there was a Mahar Satyagraha, but we hardly hears and listens, and it is hardly narrated by the academia, Mahar Satyagraha. But if we see the Dandi Satyagraha or the Dandi Yatra, it is highly discussed things. It gives so much importance to it. And this book did these same things. He just took the very first day of the Mahar Satyagraha and very first day of the Dandi Satyagraha, and how this Satyagraha took place, means what happened on the next day, on the day 15 or the 20, how it was challenging for Mahar Satyagraha peoples, and how it was easy for the Dandi Yatra peoples, because these are not just two Satyagraha, but these are the struggle, freedom struggle of the two different classes and two different castes. How it was challenging for the untouchables to have a Satyagraha and to reach to the Mahar and to do their targeted things. And if you see the Dandi Yatra, it was so easy, so luxurious. Even people had made arrangement for their fooding and their meetings, their horse, everything was well prepared, everything was well organized. But for the untouchable peoples, even they don't knew the way or the road for the Mahara. Means people just started from the Nagpur or the Aurangabad, from the Jalgaon, from Gujarat side even. They found, they searched their own way how to go to the Mahar. They just started by foot. They don't had the food arrangement for them. And when they was there into the at Mahar places, and there was a sudden attack by the Savarna Hindus. They, in their foods, the Savarna people just put some soils and just attack these peoples and their Sabha Mandap, and just carried the violent attack to these peoples. So this book is about the how we face the challenge, untouchable face the challenge for their Satyagraha, and how it was difficult for them to have such a struggle. It is just given the comparative study of two different Satyagrahas.
And this Bhoja Tharkam,
Yes.
इनका हिस्ट्री क्या है?
Actually, he was a communist previously. And then he started studying the Ambedkarism. He is fully influenced by Baba Sahib thought. He's from actually Andhra Pradesh. He wrote many other books, Class and Caste.
Good.
Which is also highly recommended books. It is important. Yes. Telugu. Some friends and colleagues have translated his works into the English. That's why he's known to us.
No problem. Thank you very much. Yeah. Priranjan, over to you.
Yeah. So, is there something left from your side?
No, we can ask a couple questions also from the audience if they want to take. Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait for some questions then.
Yeah. And Rahul, you want to say something? Sorry to interrupt.
No, actually, I'm also waiting for the questions. From my side, actually, I just can add that this book is actually very short introductions of the two Satyagrahas. I mean, they just compared how it was challenging. But when I was doing the work on it, I found that these it is a very vast study. It is a very vast satyagraha. Means that struggle is very vital, very important, and it has been never been discussed by our so-called writers or the thinkers. We didn't give that much of importance. But if you want to know the whole personality and a complete personality of the Baba Sahib, you have to study the Mahar Satyagraha very carefully. Baba Sahib, in his own words, he wrote some articles and he and the whole backdrop of that events in his Bashrut Bharat. And if you understand, if you want to study the Baba Sahib, his personality, we need to study the Mahar Satyagraha, how he arranged it, how he planned it, how he executed his plannings for these operations. For that matter, also, even I actually also started to work on the new book, that is the Rananiti. It will be in Marathi. And March 20th, I planning to publish it on the 20th March of March Satyagraha. In that book also, I am discussing in length how he planned to hold Satyagraha at the local levels, at the state levels, how he gathers his, how he train his peoples to do this task, to work out it, and the traits of the personality of the Baba Sahib.
Congratulations, Rahul, for publishing the new
Thank
book.
you.
Yeah, we need a lot of books to be translated in the different language, and the different perspective we need to write by the different people so that we can understand it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Priyaranjan, looks